Okay, Tali, take it away.
Hey everyone. What if we could help law firms save over $150,000 a year? Welcome to Goodfact. The problem we're solving is a huge problem for law firms all over the world, regardless of their size. Uh, it takes a litigation lawyer about 60 to 70 hours to build a chronology of 1,000 documents. Chronologies are absolutely critical to a litigation lawyer's practice. They cannot they cannot uh, they cannot know what happened in their case unless they build a proper, detailed, and robust chronology. Junior litigators are typically the ones doing this work at firms, and they bill out at $300 an hour. That's a $21,000 chronology of 1,000 documents. Many cases have many more than 1,000 documents, but that's the average that we're seeing. But most clients won't pay $21,000 for a chronology. So our research indicates that about 70 to 80% of this time gets written off. At 12 cases per year, which is the average for mid-size law firms in Toronto, that's $176,000 written off annually. And this isn't even fun work. It's tedious, time-consuming, soul-crushingly boring work that lawyers are doing when they should be improving their advocacy skills for their clients. I felt this problem. I'm a litigation lawyer. I articled at Gowlings, and then I worked at a few different firms, including Lippman Zenner Waxman, which is a mid-sized law firm in Toronto. My co-founder is a senior software engineer with a unique background in email processing, and we just onboarded our third employee, who's also a senior software engineer. Our solution to the problem is unique. Goodfact generates an instant, accurate, and interactive chronology of your documents. The magic of Goodfact, which is not available anywhere on the market and is the reason why I came up with this idea, is that it takes email threads, long, confusing email threads, and chops them up into individual emails and places every individual email in chronological order. So it instantly provides context surrounding every single thing that was said in every single thread. That is gold for litigators. That is why they're spending 60 to 70 hours on a chronology, because they need that context and nothing else will give it to them until now. Goodfact is in an interesting landscape with legal tech. The companies here all claim to build a chronology. There's basically two categories of companies that do it right now. There's the AI-powered, generative AI-powered, dump your documents in, we'll spit out a chronology in a second types. So CoCounsel by Thomson Reuters, Filevine is a practice management tool that has a generative AI chronology aspect to it. Mary Technologies is another example out of Australia. They basically, like I said, will spit out a chronology. The problem with that approach, and we've heard this from customers who have tested these products, is the chronology is absolutely worthless. It summarizes documents that the litigators don't want summarized by the AI. They want to retain control over that process of the litigation. They want to read the document and they want to be the ones to decide what's important, not have an AI decide it for them. So that's where we made a bet. We decided not to go with generative AI summaries. We use extractive summarization for our summaries. So that's how we're different from the AI generated summaries or generated chronologies. Now, on the other side of the spectrum are tools that are more traditional. So LexisNexis CaseMap, Everlaw is an e-discovery software. Relativity is an e-discovery software. Evercron is also an e-discovery software, very similar to Everlaw, but has more of a chronology bent to it. All of these tools require essentially hours of manual data entry. They're effectively glorified Excel worksheets. So without these tools, litigators are building these chronologies in Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word, just completely manually typing out everything about every single document. These tools allow you to essentially put what you wrote into a nice chart, but you still have to input the information about every fact. Goodfact is unique because it's not this generative AI chronology. It's rules-based. You will see the actual document in your, you'll see the actual text of the document in your chronology. But it's also significantly more automated than some of the tools on the right. Goodfact does use a little bit of generative AI very carefully, and it's all verifiable to identify the right dates and names of documents. The market is huge because it's not just litigation lawyers that need this kind of software. So our primary market is litigation lawyers in English-speaking jurisdictions. The beauty of Goodfact is it can be used anywhere. In fact, we just this week got new customers in New Zealand, Australia, and Singapore. The demand is very high for something like this because, as I showed you, a product like this doesn't exist yet. But that being said, we're not limited to litigation lawyers. Professionals across all industries, they get inundated with documents. They need to understand what happened. So doctors, lenders, accountants, insurance professionals, they need to make sense of their documents, and Goodfact can solve that problem for them. Our pricing strategy is two-tiered. So we offer a per matter price. So by matter, I mean case. So, you know, ABC versus XYZ Corp, that's your one case. You have all the documents for that case. That is $49 a month for the smallest case. It goes up to $99 a month for a mid-sized case. And then for larger cases, we do custom arrangements. Now, for users who have a lot of cases and they love Goodfact, we offer them a subscription model where when they have a certain number of active matters per month, they pay less per matter, but it's a commitment for 12 months. So we launched it to the market in August of 2023. We have been improving the product significantly ever since. Obviously, it's a small person, it's a small team, two-person team. So that's part of the reasons why we're seeking funding, to be able to add more features and accelerate our growth. So over the last few months, we entered into pilot agreements, paid pilots with mid-size and large firms across Canada. These are all reputable firms. We haven't published yet that we are working with them because we're still in the pilot phase, but Goodfact is expanding within the firms. So one lawyer uses it, tells his colleague, you got to check this out. And then they keep coming and they want more and more matters because nothing else will solve this problem for them right now. As I said, we recently expanded internationally. Our revenue is currently around a little bit over 30,000, and we just onboarded that new developer. So we're expecting our development efforts to enhance significantly over the next 3 to 6 months. Some of the new features we want to add include actually a layer of an AI summarization over the facts that we provide in the chronology. So that would be the best of both worlds between the Goodfact and those generative AI summaries. We would merge that into a single product. We also want to build extensive integrations with document management companies like iManage and NetDocs and practice management software so that lawyers don't have to think about anything. They just go wherever they're working, click a button, and all their documents show up in a Goodfact chronology. We're seeking an investment of 1.5 million to support our growth, to pay salaries for engineering talent, as well as growth and sales, customer success talent. We want to enhance our security presence in the market. Right now, we don't have any security certifications. For most firms, doesn't matter, we're finding, but for the larger firms, like, you know, it is important to them. It's sort of a deal breaker. So that's something we're looking at. And that's, and then obviously marketing costs, because we are global. We want to hit the market as quickly as possible all over the world. And we do have certain sales strategies that we have discovered to be quite effective, such as targeting law associations and reaching and having them market Goodfact to their members. It enhances our credibility. And we recently, actually this week, just had a webinar with the Trial Lawyers Association of British Columbia, and about 99 people registered for that. We had 78 people on a webinar, 78 lawyers, and each of them were from, you know, ideal customers that we're pursuing now. So just to finish off, this is an email I got recently from one of our customers in BC. And I get many such messages. When we show our product to people for the first time, they are speechless. Like, they cannot believe it's possible. It's almost unreal for them because they've been waiting so many years for this, and finally it has arrived. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Tali. Okay. Who would like to kick off our feedback? David, you're already ready to go. Oh, you're on mute, David.
I knew that. Okay.
You knew.
Tali, lovely presentation. I love the product. I think if everything you're saying is accurate, I'm sure it is, you're going to have some tremendous growth. And I know lawyers who hate going through the drudgery of going through some of these documents, and it's I could see that they would really want it. A couple of things. You had a very good explanation of your competition, which is important for investors to know, that you know the competition and you know where you fit in the competition, and that you contextualized it in a manner that let them understand that you can compete against some of these larger organizations. I was a bit confused on the pricing. I understood the top layer, the bottom layer. I was a little bit confused about how you were pricing that. So maybe some clarity on that. And the other thing is, in terms of your technology, how does it, like, is it in the cloud? Is it like, where is it going?
Yeah,
where are the documents going?
Fully cloud-based.
And is it AWS that you're in, or?
Yes, actually, yes. Yeah. AWS.
Okay, so because what I'm thinking is, if you go to other countries, sometimes they demand that their documents stay in country.
That's true. So right now, because we're in Canada, and our target right now has, or for the last year has been Canada, we have put, you're right, all of the firms have asked, or many of the firms have asked, that the data be stored within Canada, and that's where it is stored right now. But it's very simple to open more data centers.
It is.
Whatever country wants us, we'll go there and we'll open a data center. It's just a matter of money, but that's easy to fix with payment.
Yeah, it is true. And it was just as part of the description of technology, it's beneficial for the investor to know that as you grow, all you got to do is say, oh, here we're with AWS in Virginia, and here we're in AWS Sydney, and that's how you can grow without that much difficulty. Is appealing to an investor's ears. Anyways, that's all I had. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
I've got a couple of comments. Excellent presentation. One thought, as you were sort of describing it, my mind simply. So I think a picture might be worth 1,000 words in terms of if you could come up with an example of this is the, so there was this 500-page email thread with 700 dates in it. And here's the, like you mentioned, the provides context, which is sort of a meaningless sentence, but to me, in terms of I don't understand what that means, but if there's a simple example you could give, I think right up front, that would then pull people along in terms of the type of things it does. My software company is similar in some, not in terms of market, but in terms of approach. I'd happily chat with you separately. I think I would look hard at changing the way you position your use of AI, because I think everyone and their mother wants to invest in anything that has anything to do with AI. So I think I would probably come up with a, we don't just use generative AI, we use blah, 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 and I'd probably wrap it in that. We'll make it attractive in the current funding world. If so, as a non-funded software company owner, a couple things jump to mind. I would push hard. If I was advising you, I would push hard on why the hell are you going international if you're having a webinar in one small Canadian province and getting 90 people there. I'm not sure whether I would expand versus just penetrate the hell out of what's right in front of you. Would be a challenge I would have for you. A bit of a watch out on the, it sounds like at one stage it's like this is a great product that has this perfect fit, develops tremendous value or delivers tremendous value to customers, and now here's all the stuff we're going to build. I always, as a business guy who runs a software company, my developers never want to sell. They only ever want to develop net new stuff. And I think you're in a stage where I would be pushing you very hard if I was investing or advising to say, hey, if it's this good, sell it to a shit ton more people and then use what they say in terms of I want this specific feature, and be customer-led development versus developer-led development. And then my last one is I'd look hard at your pricing in terms of it's the client, it's the best product, it does these things, it delivers this value, and we charge this infinitesimal fraction of the value we deliver. So for me, right, if you do the simple math, you're way better off to we charge $15,000 and deliver $20,000 of value. You're way ahead doing that with 2 law firms in Canada versus, I don't know, 800 at $49 a month. So anyway, I would happily chat with you separately, but those were my off the top. But I thought the presentation was very compelling. You've got something great.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, John. Pablo, do you have some thoughts here?
I mean, the one question I had, that revenue slide, that was total revenue to date?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I understand like why you use that because it's nice and up and to the right, but it's not meaningful. Like I would argue you have to bucket it into maybe quarterly revenue or something like that so that it actually means something. And then I would argue that you probably should address, maybe just at a high level, I'm going tactical because I think a lot of people spoke about the overall presentation, which I thought it was good. I think like the product makes sense. But like, I think you have to speak to like what it is that has one of the problems with legal tech is it's always hard to sell into, especially with this concept of billable hours. And there's always this concern about whether, on the one hand, like you said at the beginning, hey, they can't charge for these billable hours. But there's always this kind of, at least from an investor perspective, we always think about, well, do they really want to save this time? Can they really not charge for this? So there's always this conflict. And so one of the things always in the back of our minds is, okay, this helps drive efficiency, but is there really going to be uptake from the customer? And when you see that revenue chart, and in my mind, I take that total revenue and kind of make it monthly, I start to wonder why things aren't growing faster given the amount of time that you're saving them. And so I think those sort of things should be addressed up front in terms of what you think has happened so far. That on the one hand, there is traction, there are customers, there's obviously value delivery, but at the same time, it's not flying off the shelf. So like, why is that, right? And what are the sort of things that you think might change over the coming quarters, or that customers are asking for, or whatever it is, that is all of a sudden really going to kind of make that spike, not in like total to date, but in like a month over month kind of basis. And then the other thing I'll say, just high level in terms of presentation, personally, I think it's really important that your tone is like very excited. I think you know what you're talking about, and that came out. But for me, it was a little bit like too close to monotone. Like I want, like part of it is you're so excited about the opportunity that I get excited. It's contagious. But for that, like you really need to kind of, and part of it is just style. But I, just for me as a one person that hears a lot of these pitches, like when the founder is just like so excited about what they're doing and their presentation, that comes out and it just makes you lean in. So I thought this was a little like the way that it was delivered, or never mind the actual content, but just the way it was delivered was a little kind of flattish. And so I would just encourage you to kind of think through that, and especially if you get the recording and think like, how can I just come in with just a bit more kind of bang each time, so that the audience is also leaning in and almost wondering like, wow, she's so excited, like I wonder like what she's building, right?
Yeah, no,
Hello.
thank you.
Colleen, do you have a few thoughts? We still have a few minutes here.
Yeah, just a couple. And first of all, I just think, Tali, kudos to you. I mean, a lawyer turned entrepreneur. I think that's a little bit of a dichotomy for me. So I probably, congratulations. Are you doing this full time? Was my question, one of my questions.
I am doing it full time. Yeah.
Yeah, good for you. So anyway, I only have a couple of comments in addition to what the other gentleman said. One thing. The whole revenue piece was a little bit not clear to me. And when I think of SaaS models, I think of ARR, MRR, those types of things. And I didn't see any of that language in the document. And that could be perhaps because the revenue is not that high yet, but it's just something I think, and I'm sure Lauren would be telling you that because I learned it all from Lauren. The other thing that jumps out to me is around the competition. And I really think you need to convince me that your product is going to have the staying power. Like I think, and again, this is not my thing, but I just think of generative AI and all the products coming to market and the tools that can do this kind of stuff. Maybe not this niche, but to flush that out and that to convince the investor that you're going to be here in 5 or 10 years or 5 years to do your exit. I need to understand more about that. So those were my 2 big comments that I want to add.
Super. Thanks, Colleen. All right. I'm going to end the recording.